Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the world's first Paul Weller fan podcast. I'm Dan Jennings, and 10 years ago I gave up my live stream and career as a radio presenter with one big regret: never getting to interview my hero, the legendary British musician Paul Weller. This podcast exists purely to solve that issue. Welcome to Desperately Seeking Paul, and in this episode I'm joined by a fabulous singer-songwriter called Teenage Waitress, otherwise known as Daniel J. Ash. Not only is he another huge fan of Paul's, he supported him on tour, recorded at Black Barn Studios, Weller HQ, and has some fabulous stories to tell. His new debut solo album is called Love and Chemicals, released on the independent record label Colorama Records, which is run by Paul Weller's bandmate Andy Crofts. You see, the connections are endless, and it is a thing of beauty. So give it a stream or a download, or however you get your music these days. And let's get into it. Hi, Dan.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm hoping Lockdown 3 is treating you all right. As we record this on Sunday, the 10th of January, we're currently in yet another lockdown in the UK. From an artist like yourself, I keep hearing phrases such as a bedroom artist. I don't quite know what that means, but I'm guessing it means that you just do everything there at home in the one room.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly a social person anyway, so it's no real difference to me at the weekends. Just plug my guitar in and just write some music, and yeah. I've got no friends, so it's fine.
Sure, that's not the case. Now, when did you first become aware of Paul Weller and discover the music of Paul?
So I'd always been into music from like a super young age, like 4 or 5. I was obsessed with David Bowie first. Nothing else mattered to me. You know, I was at school and sort of asked, what do you want to be when you're older? I want to be David Bowie, please, miss. That was always like all I cared about. Then I got into the Beatles, and the same thing, sort of fell head over heels in love with them. With Weller, it was all mod cons, and I was 14, 15. It came along at the perfect time because I was this awkward, pissed off teenager who just wanted someone I could turn up loud, and you know, it had the energy, it had the passion, but it also had like the great songwriting and the melodies and the gentler moments like English Rose and stuff. So that was the first album I heard, and it just blew me away. And it was Tube Station, I remember, was the eureka moment of, I need to listen to everything that this band have done. And they just became... Then my answer was, I want to be Paul Weller when I'm older. I think like everyone who's discovered them, they've just got this magic where they feel like they're your band. And that's how they made me feel. Because like it was sort of like a discovery that I made for myself, coming, you know, chancing upon all mod cons. And I was never into any of the music that was in the charts at that time. So they just really felt like they were my band. And
did you then kind of just plough through the back catalogue, so discovering the Jam, the Style Council?
Yeah, doesn't take me long.
Yeah. And by that time, a decent catalogue of solo material as well, because you've got all the kind of Stanley Road, Wildwood, the first album, you know.
So it was, I think, As Is Now was like the first one that I was there for on release day. Yeah, it was a great album. But I remember 22 Dreams really blew my mind after that, because I mean, I quite like albums like that where the artist or band just throws the kitchen sink, like the White Album and those really long double albums. And when I heard that Weller was doing one, it was, this is going to be something really special, and it was. It's a great record.
So you want to be David Bowie, then you want to be Weller. I'm guessing music is your life. At which point did you kind of start forming bands and getting on stage and gigging and stuff?
It was around that time, to be honest. I mean, I was still learning when I was going through college and stuff, and learning what works and what doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, I was sort of started writing around that time.
Your career trajectory has gone through a band. And we'll talk about that in a second, and kind of how you connected with Paul on that. So now being a kind of solo artist and just having your debut solo album last year under the umbrella of Teenage Waitress. So it would be lovely to kind of talk through all that stuff as well. Talk me through when you kind of first start making music. So when do you pen to paper and start writing lyrics and getting to something that you're happy with?
That was probably around the time, when I was at college and uni. And it was probably around the sort of time of 22 Dreams and stuff. So my first band, the Lost Boys, we did sort of 60s pop songs like the Beatles, the melodies and the harmonies and stuff. And with the Teenage Waitress stuff now, it's more like writing with, because I've always had the Bowie influence. It's being able to be a bit brave and confident and do stuff that's a little weirder, maybe a little more interesting sonically and production wise, and playing around with all those other things that I never did in the Lost Boys.
Now the noise around this LP is fantastic. I mean, the people are calling it one of the highlights of 2020 album wise, the work of a genius. I've seen as well as one of the kind of quotes, which is lovely. So we'll talk about the new stuff, but I kind of wanted to go back a bit to the Lost Boys, because there's a Weller connection there. Sure. Where you supported him, Hammersmith Apollo and the 100 Club. So how did that come about?
What happened with the Lost Boys was was I never chased record company people. I never chased press. I never chased managers. All I ever wanted to do was, because I was such a fan, was just get my music to my heroes. And so really it was just a case of, I sent some CDs to Black Palm. And I knew Andy as well. Around the time where he joined the Paul Weller band, I got to know Andy Crofts quite well. I was probably a complete pain in the arse, but I just really wanted Paul to hear my music, and he very kindly gave it a go and gave me a chance. And I think that's, I mean, he's such an amazing guy to do that, because he's, you know, he could quite easily just sit on his own cloud, but he really cares about music, and he cares about new music and people. And always, like, we got very, very lucky, as I say, and supported him at Hammersmith Apollo. And he was, you know, watching in the wings and talking to me about it afterwards. And just what an amazing person. Like, when this is the guy that, you know, I had a Weller wardrobe when I was at school, just cut-ups for Weller stuck on the wardrobe and that, you know. And yeah, I mean, I was obsessed, and I mean, I still am. But the whole never meet your heroes thing is absolutely fine. If your hero's Paul Weller, meet your hero. He's a lovely guy.
They're not a complete knobhead. You're all right, yeah. And which came first? Did the supporting Weller come first, or the Radio 4 stuff, the Radio 4 master tapes? Oh,
well, actually, I think that was just before. Yeah, that was weird as well. So yeah, I went to see I think it was around the time of Sonic Kicks. He did a session, BBC 4 master tapes with John Wilson. I asked a question, and I think Weller had very kindly got back to me about my music by that point, and had sent a message. And I think I'd met him at the Sonic Kicks Roundhouse gig as well. Andy very kindly got me in backstage, so I had a chat with Weller and gave him a vinyl stuff. But yeah, we went to see the Maida Vale session, and I think Weller needed to go to the toilet, because he was like, he'd played a couple of songs, and he was like, I've got to go to the toilet. He was like, Dan will play you a song. I was like,
presumably you didn't have your guitar with you, so is he handing over his guitar to you?
He handed me his guitar. Amazing. And again, what an amazing thing to do. He didn't go to the toilet. He sat on the stage and watched me nervously play through a song that I probably forgot every word to. And
love it.
Didn't sing a note in tune. I got through it, and it was unreal. That's like the stuff of dreams, that your hero going, go on, give him a song. And then
sitting, not clearing off to the loo, but sitting around to listen as well. Was it?
Yeah,
nice.
I think I went to the loo
but... during the performance.
Yeah. That was involuntary.
Yeah, I remember listening to that, because that was John Wilson, who I always love whenever he's chatting to anybody. There's an amazing Bowie interview that they've just released an extended version of today, funnily enough. Which
wow.
He's just a brilliant interviewer, and I remember that being it was primarily about, like, a master tapes. It was primarily about
the Gift, wasn't it? Yeah,
the Jam's last album, The Gift.
The nicest thing ever. I feel very, very lucky, and just goes to show you what a nice person he is, because he's always championing bands, and I'm always discovering great music from himself. It's just so nice that, you know, he gave me the time of day and cared about listening to my music. That was a lovely thing.
Yeah, this has come up quite a bit on the podcast, actually. The amount of kind of artists and bands who have been discovered through Paul, through recommendations. For me, people like, you know, Lucy Rose, Young Fathers, Black Pumas. There's some just amazing talent out there right now. And having an artist like that endorse you must be so kind of, you know, makes you your stuff's so credible, right?
Yeah, but even looking back, like, he sort of, it took me on a whole voyage of discovery with music that was long before my time. So things like the Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle, like, I listened to that because I read Paul Weller saying that it was his favourite album, and instantly became one of my favourite albums. So yeah, you're right, new bands and old music too. Like, there's so it's sort of never ending well of good things to discover.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, for me, people like Tim Hardin, when I discovered a few songs that Paul had kind of covered, and Nick Drake and people like that.
Nick Drake. Nick Drake was another big one for me. Yeah,
which is lovely, isn't it? And you're kind of constantly discovering. So let's bring it bang up to date. Teenage Waitress, I guess the whole of last year for me seemed like a kind of lead up to your debut solo album. And I want to ask you a couple of questions. So the album's called Love and Chemicals, and if people don't know, it really is just a beautiful piece of work.
Oh, thank you.
It's on the record label of Andy Crofts, and Andy Crofts is part of Weller's band currently. I was going to say bass player, but I think Andy seems to do anything and everything currently. There's such
man of many talents.
Yeah, incredible. So I guess two questions. One, how did you get to know Andy, and how did it kind of get to be on his record label? And the second one, how do you write these kind of ridiculously addictive, what do I want to call them, earworm kind of choruses that just get stuck in your head, man? These things are crazy.
Thank you. Like I say, I was into music from such a young age, especially like I remember like driving around when my parents would put on like the Beatles Red and Blue albums, and like they're all about melody. So like in my head, that's always like when I'm writing a song, it's always like I've got to have a good hook. Otherwise, I'm not going to stick with it. That's my starting point for a lot of the songs. So maybe that's why it feels that way sometimes, because that's always what it all blossoms from, really. And yeah, I like music like that. I like music that's like so catchy that the chorus even has a chorus. Yeah, no, I think that's probably what it is. But with Andy, say around the time that he joined the Weller band, I think we were friends on like, I think it must have been MySpace going back to those times. But he was like super supportive of what I was doing with the Lost Boys, and I remember sending him CDs, and we played with the Moons quite a few times, and the lovely guys. All of Weller's band are just the loveliest people. I think it's been said before, like it's just such a warm family vibe. Whenever you go down Black Barn, everyone asks you how you are, everyone cares about you. There's just a really, really nice atmosphere.
There was somebody else, I can't remember who it was now, that I read that you were supporting. Was it Ocean Colour Scene or something like that? Or I can't remember now.
We played with Steve Craddock a few times, yeah. Right. And that was that. Yeah, Steve's amazing as well. So it's what Ben was saying a few shows back, just such an underrated player.
We went out today for our 30-minute lockdown exercise with the kids. A bit of Ocean Colour Scene came on Absolute Radio, and it was one of those ones where it was just one of these insane kind of guitar licks that he's done. And we were just like, we were in the car park, I'm like, hold on, I've got to listen to the rest of this. We're not going anywhere right now. This is incredible. He's just such a talent. It's incredible. Absolutely brilliant. And a nice guy as well, from what I hear from everybody.
Yeah, Steve's a lovely guy. Now, again, whenever I've seen him, he's always sort of asking about my music.
So let's talk about some of the songs as well. And I think some of the reviews and the comparisons, and it'd be really interesting because you've talked about Bowie, you've talked about Weller, other people remarking on people like Kevin Parker, so Tom Impala, Bowie, you've mentioned Blur, Divine Comedy seem to come through, but there's a few others that I've not seen mentioned that I think come through for me, like people like Bell and Sebastian.
Oh wow! See, I like them. I've got one of their records, but I haven't delve that deeply into their back catalogue, so maybe that's something to.
Well, you should, but also the Supernaturals, and I don't know if you, again, probably something that's not kind of come up.
Again, that's another one. Do you know, with the Lost Boys, it's funny you say that. With the Lost Boys, we used to get Squeeze all the time. Everyone used to say, "You sound just like Squeeze," but I didn't know who they were.
Always the way.
I better check this Squeeze band out then. And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that. That's great."
And then the other one, and I think this comes from the kind of the fact that you are multi-talented and kind of seem to play every single instrument. And I want you to go through a list of kind of everything that's on the album, because it feels like there's everything from a kind of milk bottle to the guitar. But Conor O'Brien, so Villagers seems like another one. And I don't know if that's just because obviously he goes by the name of something different to his actual name. He is a solo artist as well.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, no, I was going to call it Daniel Ash, but there is another Daniel Ash from Bauhaus and I think Love and Rockets. I think he's a couple of bands. And I did a few gigs, I remember, when I was before Lost Boys, just as Daniel Ash, because I had like a couple of goths turn up to my gig thinking I was him. And there I was with like a little Fred Perry playing Heatwave at 100 miles an hour.
This gig is sold out in 10 seconds. What's going on?
Yeah. So I thought I'd get as far away as I can from that name as possible. I love the Eels as well. They got that thing going on as well.
That's true. Yeah. So where did the Teenage Waitress title come from? Where did you find that?
Well, because a lot of the albums like other people's stories and like written from other people's perspective. So I like the idea of like a waitress hearing bits of people's day as she's collecting plates and stuff, and here's one story from one table, and then from another, some information's missing from another story. It's quite cool to let the audience join the dots on a lot of the stories. So consciously took out like certain lyrics, or like one of the songs I think finishes halfway through a sentence. And it's just the idea of someone catching a bit of a story and then moving on to the next.
I mean, that feels similar to some of the stuff from the Jam in terms of Paul Weller kind of telling these. Yeah. And it was often kind of given as a criticism of Paul that he was always kind of looking out rather than looking in. But this kind of looking through a window of life and kind of observing other people is
life from a window.
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. But it's something that we all kind of enjoy, that kind of people watching thing. But the way you kind of are able to turn that into these little kind of mini stories, I guess, is a lovely thing.
Oh, thank you. Well, definitely learned from the best with Paul.
Now, let's talk about a couple of the singles, which I think people should, if they've not heard the stuff, your stuff before, should immediately kind of get onto Alexa or buy it, more importantly, because the royalties will be better. But the one that seemed to, and I think it was beginning of last year where you released as a single, and was I Don't Like This Party. And again, this is one that immediately gets stuck in your head to the point that a few days later, you're kind of singing again. What is that song? Oh, right.
Oh, great.
And this is one where it's actually more autobiographical, I understand. So this is more about you.
Yeah, I didn't like that party.
Was it just one or multiple parties?
Oh, it was many, many parties. It's like, that song is actually about one party that I went to, I think probably about 14 or 15. And it was the same day I brought the first Clash album. And I was at this party that a friend of a friend, so I didn't want to be there. And all I could think about was, I've got this Clash album at home. I just want to go home and listen to it. Like I couldn't enjoy myself. I was so excited to go home and put on the Clash.
So did you manage to?
So that's where that came from.
Manage to make an early exit from this terrible party, or you stuck there all night?
I probably did. Yeah, I've got quite a few good excuses lined up for any opportunity.
And the other thing I love about this stuff is these kind of quirky videos that you're creating as well. And is that you in your bedroom on your own making these things, or have you got people that you kind of collaborate with on that stuff?
The party video was done with a team, a proper professional shoot. A guy called Jamie Milligan, who's a fantastic music video maker. So if anyone wants a music video, Jamie Milligan is your man. So him and his amazing team helped me with that. And then for the rest, I did some at home, just again, like a sort of lockdown project, have a day. I think it's kind of probably worth doing because to have a visual is quite an important thing, I think, for some songs. So I think there's one for I'm Leaving Berlin, which is just like a bird's eye shot because my phone could just sit on a gap in the stairs and I could just play my keys underneath it. And it reminded me of this. I think there's a Beatles overhead bird's eye view shot, famous one from when they used to play in the 60s. And that sort of inspired that.
Lovely. So, I mean, clearly you're a very creative chap. So talk me through the instruments that you've got there in the room, but also the stuff that features on the album, because it feels like you're pulling stuff from anywhere and everywhere to kind of get a sound out of it goes on the album. Would that be right? So
it normally either starts with keys or guitar, and because I'm such a Paul Weller fan, I've got the Rickenbacker 330 as the weapon of choice, or bass. A lot of the fun stuff comes afterwards. I'll get the song down and then it's like, oh, you know what, I can hear an accordion doing this actually, or a kazoo. There's a couple of kazoos. The spoons turn up in one song. Do you know what? I can't even. There's lots. I don't know if I can remember them all. To be honest, it's working really well for me because I'm so used to being in, like I say, in a band where it's four guys in a room. A lot of the time, I'd be bringing the song to the table, and I wouldn't want to annoy everyone else in the room by asking them to repeat it 6 times. But whilst I try different things out or change this or cut this bit out, with the Lost Boys, a lot of it had to sort of be formed before it came to the room, and it's really nice to have the freedom of just set up a project and then choose a synth sound and improvise for an hour over a drum loop and just see if anything comes. Just never done that before. And
and I'm guessing you don't know so much. I was going to ask you, how does this work live? But as we sit in lockdown, are you kind of Ed Sheeran with 12 loop pedals and all that?
So we've not done a live gig as Teenage Waitress yet, and I've got a band ready to go. I've got a really cool band it's going to sound brilliant. We just haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. And I'm really excited to do that. I've done a few like live streams from home, like acoustic-y sort of lockdown gigs. But the songs don't really, I don't know, I think they need to be with a full band to really work as best as they can.
Fingers crossed 2021 we'll see you be able to get out and promote, because it must be weird releasing an album. And I've heard Paul talk about a similar thing with On Sunset, and now the kind of new album that's going to come out this year that they worked on in lockdown. It feels weird to kind of release these things and then not be able to kind of get on the road and tour them and start building up an audience base and all that for you, right?
Yeah, it's the strangest thing, releasing something and then not doing anything about it like on the road. It's really, really weird. I don't know. Hopefully there's good elements of it as well that, maybe someone that probably wouldn't have listened because they were at home and have seen my post on Facebook have listened to it because they weren't out or something. I don't know. Maybe it's meant a few more people have listened to it, which is... Yeah.
This very podcast probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for lockdown and me finally pulling my finger out and getting it done. So, Dan, this has been great, but we need to hear some music. You're going to play a track for us. What are you going to play? I'm
going to play a song called The Mess You Made Me Make.
Ah, lovely.
And that's like a POV of a prisoner and having an argument with the voice in his head. It was going to be from my point of view, but I've just not got a very interesting voice in my head, so I thought I'd change to a different character.
Love it.
Nice one. Thank you. wicked voice, I hear it in my sleep. All blue-eyed boys have secrets they must keep, and it's the mess you made me make. I close my eyes, so helpless to your spell. My lonely prayer on this wretched carousel. It's the mess you made me make. Taking liberties, not there to take. Well, look at all the mess you made me make. I'm like a wail and scream. You've heard of me, seen my crimson eyes on your TV. Sit and talk to God, but he won't believe. It's the mess you made me whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. And in a flash of light, I'm led towards the chair. My mother cries. They've bent over and swallowed all your lies. It's the mess you made me make. It's the mess you made me make. It's the mess you made me make. Well, look at all the the dog's barking outside really loud.
Wow.
Like
that was so good, man. Wow.
Oh, thank you. Did it all sound okay?
Yeah, that was so good, man. Bloody hell, well done.
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, I couldn't play the spoon solo as well. Tried to squeeze them in between my toes, but
that was absolutely beautiful. Well done. So, and that was one of the singles last Easter time, right?
Yeah, that was the second single, I think. Yeah.
Love it. Well done. What an amazing tune. Love it.
Oh, thank you.
You mentioned kind of recording at Black Barn. What does that feel like? Because it feels like to me, if you're a Weller fan, that's almost like that's like your Abbey Road, effectively, isn't it? Black Barn.
Yeah,
it was Paul Weller's HQ. You know, it
was very, very special. Yeah, I feel very lucky to have been able to do that. It was adult Disneyland.
How many kazoos have they got?
I don't know actually, but they've got, you know, like I remember just sort of walking around and there's so much magic in the air because like obviously all the Weller records that I can't remember what album they started recording there, but you know all the things like the 22 Dreams and the Wake Up the Nations were all done there. It felt so magic to be in that control room and in that live room, and you know Pete Townshend's guitars are off, you know, in the corner, and yeah, it's a really special place to be. Everyone at Weller HQ is just amazing.
Can you remember the first time that you saw Paul live?
Yeah, the first time I saw Paul live was the 22 Dreams tour at Osborne House, the Isle of Wight.
I was there. I was there in that mosh pit. I was there. Wow. Clinging on for dear life.
And the thing was, at that time, because like obviously like all the other two heroes of mine, the Beatles and Bowie, I was never going to see them live. So like it was such a special thing to like. I was bang at the front. I remember he came out in a white suit, straight into Changing Man. And it was just an out of body thing, just because, like I say, like he was this person whose records I brought religiously, listened to religiously, and had a wardrobe with his face all over. So like to be there watching Paul Weller come on stage and cool as ever and just, you know, just hit it straight away and to change him out. It was really special. So this was my first time ever seeing Weller live, and we had to hurry back to get the car ferry to get home. I was proper grumpy about it because I think he just started playing Eating Rifles. It was like, no, I got to get the ferry now. Oh, right, okay. So like leaving the venue as Eating Rifles was being played, I was like gutted. Got on the car, got to the car ferry. In front of our car was this huge tour bus, and I was like, that can't be. Like it was still on the stage when we were leaving, but the other voice in my head was going, no, go on, have a look. You never know, mate. So I got out, had a look, and Weller was there, front seat it was his tour bus. He was there in the front seat, and he gestured to me to come in the bus. And I was like, no, I was like, this is mad. Like you were on the stage 3 minutes ago. How'd you get here? So yeah, He let me come in. This was before anything with the Lost Boys. This is the first time I saw and met Paul in the same night. Yeah, again, it was a bit like a dream, really. Like, I try and play it cool and suck it up, but it's impossible. Getting a bit better at it now. But I was just remembering telling him how much like setting suns and sound effects meant to me. And I think he might have kissed me on the cheek. I don't know if I made that up, but I think he kissed me on the cheek. Because I seem to remember saying, like, I'm never going to wash this cheek again. Like, that's it. Yeah, that was so special. That was Osborne House.
Oh man, that's so
it made up for missing Eton Rifles.
I was going to say, yeah, if you'd have stayed to see Eton Rifles, that wouldn't have happened. That's so cool.
Yeah,
love it. That was a good night. That was because it was like a 2-hour set or something crazy. It felt like that was never going to end. It was a very special gig. Yeah,
yeah.
Apart from for you, where you went half hour before it, you know.
But I got a kiss.
Yeah. Right, couple of questions before you go. This has been so lovely, Dan. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. No, thank you, mate.
If there were to be one Paul Weller song for the rest of your life, and I appreciate this will change daily, but which one is it right now? You're only allowed one. We're going to delete the rest of the back catalogue. You can only carry one song forward with you from here on in.
Oh no. I'm going to say Ghosts.
Oh, now the Magic Mod had that one as well. So what is it about Ghosts?
Can I not take that one?
No, you can have that. You can have that. What is it about Ghosts?
It's just like, I don't know. I'd see. So I think it was it the last Jam album I got? I think it might have been because I think it was the last Jam album that I heard when I was sort of rinsing all the back catalogue. And I remember being in my bedroom listening to it. I could sort of close my eyes and be that age again, listening to it for the first time. And Ghosts just really took me by surprise, just because it was just as one song, it just felt like such a move forward and such an interesting dynamic next to Happy Together. I remember listening to Happy Together and thinking, oh yeah, this is really cool. And then Ghosts come on and it's just a beautiful, gentle, haunting song. And it really did something to me. I'm
sure I've seen that live in recent years as well. So I don't know if that's something that's kind of crept back into the set list. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was very lucky. I went to Black Barn a couple of years ago when I think Paul and his band were rehearsing. It wasn't the acoustic. It wasn't live aspect. I think it was a full band. I was very lucky because it was the day I think that they were going through all the old Jam and Style Council songs. And so I heard things like It's a Very Deep Sea, and I heard Boy About Town and Man in the Corner. All like, it's just amazing to hear them. Wow. I was just sat on the sofa just like, this is probably the best day of my life. And they played Ghosts and it blew me away. Like I say, I remember just it blew me away when I heard it on the record for the first time, just because it felt so fresh and new and different.
Wow, that is incredible. And I need to remind myself, and this is the second question, the whole point of this podcast is for me to get to Black Barn to be able to interview the great man himself. So what do you think I should cover off? Is there a burning question that you'd love to see answered?
I think I've always just talked to Paul about music because he's always given me, it's like I say, like we said before, like he always has introduced me to other music that I love, whether that was through magazines or like face to face. Like last time I was there, he was telling me, I was talking about the Beach Boys and I was saying, yeah, I love Pet Sounds and I love Smile Sessions, but that's about it for me. And he was like, Dan, get on, check out Friends and Sunflower, go buy those 2 albums as soon as you get home. And I did, and he was right. Like they were masterpieces. So like I would say just have a natter about music and I'm sure he'll give you a gem to go and source out as soon as you get home.
Hey, look, this has been so special, Dan. Thank you so much. Good luck with the album. I look forward to seeing you in 2021 live. I can't wait, along with, I'm sure, a lot of other people listening to this podcast, to get back to some live music and get back in some mosh pits and in some kind of social interaction with other people would be nice.
Totally, yeah. No, thank you very much for having me. It's a wicked podcast and I feel very lucky to come and have a chat with you.
Oh, bless you, man. All right, well, stay safe and thanks very much and cheers for this. I really appreciate it.
No worries, Dan. Thanks a lot, mate.
I have to say I enjoyed that so much. What a lovely chap and what a talent. Wow. And I feel like John Peel with that little session as well there. That was great. Next week on the podcast, I'm joined by Pat Gilbert, journalist, author, broadcaster. If you haven't got the Paul Weller Collector's Series from Mojo in your life, then Google it right now and get yourself a copy. We'll be chatting all about it next week. Plus, Pat has some amazing stories up his sleeve, including some exclusive news on the new album that comes out in 2021. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, give us a retweet and helps us spread the word on Twitter. It's @WellerFanPod, or you can find us on Instagram @PaulWellerFanPod. We'll see you next week.